Welcome into Wager Talk TV. Alongside Dave Cokin and Adam Trigger of WagerTalk.com, I'm Meghan Payton. College football's here. We're talking Kansas State at West Virginia. Kickoff at 2 p.m. Eastern. The total right now is at 54.5. Kansas State is a 7.5-point favorite. Look, Kansas State controls their own destiny. They just need to win, and they'll make it to the Big 12 championship playing TCU. Or they could have a win this week. They would need Texas to Texas to win in order to make it to the big old game. Dave, I'll come to you first. West Virginia's been struggling on run defense. They're turning the ball over too much on offense. What's your play for Kansas State versus West Virginia?
I mean, the fundamentals here are pretty clear. They point to Kansas State. And that's even without Adrian Martinez, who's not going to play. And he was having such a good year, only one interception. He'd really cleaned up his act since transferring from Nebraska. But the backup's pretty good. And they can still run the same offense with the number 2 guy. They won't have to make any adjustments because he does a lot of things similarly to Martinez. West Virginia did win last week. Good win for them. But they've been few and far in between. They've not been a consistent team. I think Neil Brown's probably going to get shown the door at the end of the year. So there's a negativity factor there. And that won't disappoint the Morgantown home fans who are not real enamored with this coach. I think Kansas State's going to go in and get it done. The margin, the spread probably high enough to keep me away. But the only side I'd play would be the Wildcats. So, Kelly, if you're watching, Kelly Stewart, I'm on your team here. I'll go Kansas State to get the win and cover.
I like that as well. Kansas State 5-2 conference record. And I misspoke. They need a Texas loss or they just need to win 2 games in a row and they're in the Big 12 championship. Adam, what's your play here? Kansas State versus West Virginia.
Well, yeah, I finally have a take now. The first 2 videos, curveballs this week, tough games, but I like Kansas State here too. I've liked this Kansas State team all season. West Virginia, off a conference home game, is 0-7 against the spread. And it's something I've always kind of been cognizant of because if you think about it, Morgantown, way over on the East Coast, the rest of the Big 12, middle of the country essentially. So they log more miles traveling back and forth, and typically following a home game is a road game. And it's interesting to see that coming off of a home game, 0-7 against the spread. Again, I'm with Dave. The matchup favors Kansas State heavily. They're going to be able to run the ball. West Virginia has not been good against the run, and it doesn't matter, in my opinion, it's Martinez or Howard. I think they're relatively that I would give Martinez a slight advantage, but really their ability to run it with Vaughn is going to be the key here. Kansas State's defense is, I've said since the beginning of the season, I thought they were the reason that Kansas State would have a shot to win the Big 12 this year, and they still do have a shot. The only thing that's slightly concerning to me is the fact that this game follows them pounding Baylor the way they did on the road, which might set up a spot where they're a little bit inflated. But again, I'm with Dave in the respect that there is 0 chance I would play West Virginia here. It could only be Kansas State. I've been riding Kansas State this year. For the most part, I've cashed when I've backed them. So here's another one where I would just lay it with Kansas State and hope that they get there, which I definitely think this sets up as a scenario where they could win by margin.
Yeah, and I'm rooting for it from this standpoint. I want to see Kansas State TCU in a rematch.
Yeah,
Kansas State had him dead to rights, 28-10 ahead, and then everything went wrong in terms of an injury issue, and TCU just went crazy on them in the second half. I want to see those 2 teams play again, and if that gives you a hint as to which side I'll probably be on if that game happens, yeah, I probably will.
I might have to disagree with you there, Dave, because I'm all in on TCU this year.
Well, wait a minute. You have some.
I have some blood
bias,
connection there, so
yes.
I'm a little bit biased. But either way, that would be a game I think most people would want to see. I like the over here for this game, though. Kansas State, West Virginia, 54.5. With how bad West Virginia's run defense has been and how sloppy their offense has been of late, I think we could see a high-scoring game. I'm going to take the over 54.5. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Adam. We're so lucky here at Wager Talk to have great content from them. Hey, you can find more of Dave and Adam on wagertalk.com. And right now, Dave, has a 5% play for college football. He's 87% in 2022. Adam, by the way, number one in net profits games across all football. That's college and NFL. Go give them a follow on Twitter. See more on them. Wager Talk TV. Thank you both. We'll continue here on Wager Talk College Football.